Sometimes when we think about social studies instruction, we think of students being asked to memorize important historical names and dates and pointing to far-off places like Indiana or Mozambique on a map. Well, that is very different from our approach to teaching social studies in Richardson. We believe students learn about time periods, events, and cultures throughout history by engaging in critical thinking. From kindergarten through high school, RSD students study different types of historical records, such as the founding documents of the United States, speeches from noted figures, biographies of specific people, and news reports of specific events. Students also inspect artifacts and artwork to learn about ancient civilizations, current global societies, and the democratic system of government here in the United States. The primary purpose of social studies in RISD is to help all students develop the ability to make informed and reasoned decisions. We are preparing all students to be citizens of a culturally diverse, democratic society in an increasingly interconnected world. In Texas, the foundation of the social studies curriculum is the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS. Starting in kindergarten and going through third grade, RISD students explore the characteristics of being a good citizen within a democratic society, the value of work, wants versus needs, and the purpose of rules and laws. Using maps to develop spatial thinking, our students begin to understand how chronology helps us understand history. Often, social studies instruction is integrated with reading and language arts. As teachers and students are reading and writing about community helpers, their neighborhood, our city, and our state.
With the Thanksgiving unit, they were able to build the Mayflower. We did it out in the hallway. We used cardboard boxes. They researched what a long voyage it was, and they learned that there were children on the Mayflower. And then they get to go out there and read in the Mayflower. And we do this with the other second grade classes, but these kiddos are learning it in English, but also reinforced in Spanish. Market Day is going to take place on Friday, and we do it with all of the second grade classes. The kids create products that they're going to sell, and in this unit, they are learning how to be little entrepreneurs and also how to make choices about what they're going to buy, what they're not going to be able to buy, how they're going to spend some of the plastic coins.
Erin, why did you choose to make a piggy bank?
Porque se usan más las alcancías más de el animal de cerdito y no más animales a veces. And I make it with a water bottle of plastic, and then we put paper, and you put over here the money.
They can be anything they want to be, as long as they work hard, they're respectful, and they're motivated. And I feel like those are all the skills that they're getting here in social studies all across, and just skills that will carry them through into their life.
In upper elementary, social studies students engage in survey courses about Texas history, U.S. history, and world cultures.
One of the things that is maybe the most important thing for me as a teacher is teaching the kids to learn on their own. And I can sit there and give them information and we could teach them to a test, but that's not what we really want to do here. I want them to walk out of here understanding, how do I research? How do I put information together in a cohesive and concise way to communicate clearly?
We know that students learn best when they are able to connect their learning to their world around them. Therefore, at each of our campuses, students engage in a cycle of learning about their immediate communities, then Texas and the United States, and eventually the world. Our social studies educators intentionally lay the foundation and strategically add new learning, weaving in lessons to foster students' ability to make informed and reasoned decisions. Students in junior high build on the social studies foundation established in the elementary grades. They cycle back to Texas and the United States, investigating history through different time periods through the political, economic, geographic, and social lenses.
I look at it like a building, okay? There's 5 levels or 5 floors of the building. The bottom is vocab. We have over 250 vocabulary words they got to know from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And then we build those into questions. That's the second kind of floor of the building. Good classroom instruction's built on questioning. And the more scaffolded, the more interesting, the more open-ended it can get, the more deeper they go. And then we go into primary sources into the lesson so they can analyze them, get those critical thinking skills, and really kind of study what does this mean, right? So primary sources, critical thinking skills, real world connections, and I think most importantly, multiple perspectives, like the American colonies versus the British colonies. What is the British perspective on things versus the American perspective on things? Compare and contrast, and then we go into real life connections. So those are the 5 floors of the building.
When students enter high school, social studies becomes course specific. All students must take 4 full years of social studies that include world geography, world history, U.S. history, and government and economics. There are more course options for students to gain social studies credits, including 7 AP courses, 1 UT on-ramps course, and 7 dual credit opportunities. RISD also offers social studies electives such as personal financial literacy, Mexican American studies, African American studies, sociology, and psychology.
For a lot of them, this is all they know, just the United States. So we talk about cultures, we talk about religions, geographic factors, cultural factors, and then we also bring in, what conflicts might be happening, but definitely the culture aspect, that's always their favorite part.
Now, I know you also teach our Mexican American Studies class, so tell us a little bit about what the students experience in that course.
We start out at the very beginning with the indigenous people, and then how they moved on from there, the contributions they did, the reasons why we have quinceañeras, the reasons why we have, corn such a big staple in the Latin community. And then we move on from there chronologically.
It's the students' ability to process, apply, and think critically about the world and historical events that enable them to develop into informed and respectful citizens in a democratic society. Social studies content allows learners to explain relationships with other people, institutions, and the environment, and it equips them with a knowledge and understanding of the past. Social studies courses integrate skills with content knowledge into a framework that prepares students to be responsible citizens who excel locally, nationally, and globally. Social studies is a subject that can be easily enriched at home. Here are a few ways parents can teach their children critical aspects of becoming an informed, engaged, and knowledgeable member of society. Talk about the importance of Constitution Day, Labor Day, MLK Day, President's Day, Independence Day, and Veterans Day. Discuss the meaning of these national holidays, the people and events they honor, and the relevance to present-day society. Explain and practice civic rights and responsibilities such as voting and serving on a jury. Discuss with your children the topics you learn about from the news. Ask their opinions, ask probing questions. Challenge them to wonder about what is not being talked about on the news or if there might be another viewpoint. Visit monuments, memorials, libraries, parks, and other public spaces. Explain that we, the people, pay for these things through taxes. Question the names and events that are memorialized and ask, who do you think that was, or why do we remember this event? Learn together about history and geography of your community, state, and country. Home is where children form their attitudes towards learning, and it is at home where children first learn the values that they will carry throughout their lives. Thank you for spending some time keeping tabs on RISD and learning more about how we approach social studies and how it lays a foundation for students to be knowledgeable, productive citizens and even spark interest in potential career paths.